Let's see, testing. Are we on? Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have not yet taken a seat, please feel free to do so, unless you would prefer to stand. But welcome, everybody, to the Realm Runner Studios and Achroma Showcase. How are we doing, everybody? We good? We good? So firstly, hello to everybody here live in the Achroma store in Poole with us. And a big welcome to everybody watching at home on YouTube as well. Fantastic to have you all here. So for those who don't know me, my name is Charles Barton and I am the Achroma Community Coordinator here at Realm Runner Studios. And it is my absolute genuine pleasure to be your host this evening for the Showcase stream and event. So let's get started by letting you guys know exactly what you are in for by being down here at the store today or joining us live on stream. So we have been obviously letting you know over the last few live streams and articles and things like that what is coming. So we have got some amazing panels for you coming up first. We've had a slight change of a few plans, a few panels, but we've got some really exciting things for you. I'll let them unveil certain things. I'm not going to spoil too much. But to run you through what's going to happen, once I've done my initial introduction for you guys here, the first thing that's going to happen is a keynote speech by Jack Constantine, the CEO of Realm Runner Studios. The second panel we're going to have is going to be a world-building panel with Rachel Constantine and Ben Sewell. We're then going to have a Q&A with Rachel and Jack again. So, for those that are watching in the live stream, if you have any questions for Jack and Rachel, now is the time to get them ready. Type them into the live stream over the next 45 minutes to an hour. I'll be making note of them and we'll be asking them later on. For those here in the store with us, get thinking of what questions you might want to ask, as we will be passing the mic round and getting you guys to ask some in store as well. In other exciting news, what we're also going to be running throughout the early part of the showcase is a competition. We have some quite big prizes, if I'm honest. One may surprise you. So we're giving away 3 prizes this evening to both live stream viewers and in-store. We are giving away 2 individual boxes of Collector's Edition, so you'll be able to pick one yourself. And the top prize this evening, which... those that are maybe more acquainted with Achroma will know that this is definitely a golden find. We managed to find 1 box of Curdle Hill First Edition that was still around. So we are going to be giving away, the top prize will be a Curse of Curdle Hill First Edition box. I believe the decks in there are Klaus von Rithrow and Detective Cronus, for those that want to know. So, how to enter this competition, I'm sure you're all probably thinking. Now, for those that are in the store live with me, if you already signed in with your email to kind of book your place here today, then don't worry, your name is already in my online spinner, ready to go. However, if you are in the live stream, or if you are someone that has come in this evening and not signed up, which is perfectly fine, lovely to have you if you are here, what I need you to do is at some point before I come on stage later on is type in the YouTube chat the word Achromacon. A-C-H-R-O-M-A-C-O-N, Achromacon. Simply by typing that once into the YouTube chat, I'll be putting your name into the hat to win those prizes. 1 entry per person, please. So that will be happening at the end of the live stream. And I should note that you do have to be here at the reveal. It's a bit like a raffle. If I call your name at the end and you're not in store or you're not in the live stream, it will be passed to the next person. So make sure you stick around to the end of the live stream for that. What else do I need to tell you? So in the meantime as well, as we're going through the live stream again, put any questions in the chat and I'll ask them at the end. Don't forget, if you are watching the live stream or in store, we all have mobile devices, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give the stream a like, as this is obviously a massive event for us. And if anybody takes any photos in store, or if anybody is sharing our links online, please use the hashtag Achromacon so that we can collate all the images and see all the amazing stuff that is posted. Are we excited? Are we excited? Yeah, of course we are. Lovely. In which case, let me introduce our first panel. I know, it's so cheesy doing that, isn't it? But we've got to do it. The CEO of Realm Runner Studios. Big round of applause in the store, please, for Jack Constantine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And a big thank you to Charlie. I think he deserves a round of applause. He's doing all this 3 hours sleep last night. You wouldn't have known it from the energy he's pulling off. So thank you so much, Charlie. for being such a great host for this, our first Realm Runner Studio showcase. And this is a big moment for us. It's a big celebration of where we've come to and what we have planned and how we're building out our dreams and ambitions from an independent game studio to get up there and challenge some of the big gaming giants in the industry with some interesting and very community-led approaches to projects we've got. Around you here tonight, you're going to see there's a few different games you can get involved with. We've got our Achroma RPG. The alpha is available to have a look at and play, and we'll be releasing that to our Kickstarter backers over the next 24 hours, so we'll get that out after the stream. And that is something to talk about as well. The Kickstarter has been a huge success, 300% funded, which is amazing. Thank you all so much for the contributions that have been able to get us to the place we are today, going in with these new games and new products. So not only have we got the RPG, we've also got a brand new set coming out, Curdle Cove. That's going to be available to pre-order if you're in the shop today. You'll be able to get your hands on pre-ordering and play testing the cards themselves. They're here, they're in the shop. You can have a look, you can have a play. And so that's our newest release that we've been launching. And every 3 months, we've been releasing new sets. And also some little sneaky cards in between that people have been enjoying, which leads me on to the newest cards we've released, which will be available online today. And they are a series of shard cards. So there's loose shards, and there's a couple of other different shard cards. And the idea with these they are not only playable cards within our evolving card game, which has been our major success product that has definitely been what we've been able to build on. So that card game that everyone's been getting their hands on, these are new cards to play, but they also unlock shards within the app. So obviously people who do play know that we have a companion app, and that app has got the in-app currency of shards. You can buy avatars, you can use those in your games. And so when you unlock these cards using your meta code in the card, you're going to be able to gain some shards into your bank and use those to buy things in the app. And they'll be available today. You can go on the website now. You can get hold of those cards. They're realmless. They play in any realm we have. And everything about Achroma is about opening the doors to the universe that we've been building. This is a fantasy universe set across 5 different realms. Every single realm's full of mystical creatures and mythical landscapes. And it's an adventure that anyone can go on, which leads to the mobile adventure game. So we have a mobile adventure game that is currently saying out now, might be a couple of days. We're still refining some details on it. The life of an indie startup, that's what happens. And basically what we've got is a choose your own adventure game where you can play this single player in your phone just as a standalone game, and you can go and explore the realm of Salem Plain, where we have these wizards and witches roaming around Curdle Hill, and you can play that adventure game to your heart's content, spending those shards, unlocking cards, and having a journey of your own, which is all about tailoring the endings. It's got a morality system, so it depends on what kind of decisions you make will impact exactly what outcome you have, all linking back to our global Achrometer, which those of the community who've been playing know already that we're tracking every game and every score, and we're putting that in, and that's telling us whether we're winning on the Achroma side or the Chroma side. So there's lots going on in our massive ecosystem. And so, yeah, you'll be able to have a look at the mobile adventure game over the next couple of days. And, yeah, we're heading off to Comic-Con this weekend. We're going to be hosting a whole load of events there, workshop stuff. We're going to be working with Imagination Gaming. They've got a whole gaming zone set up where we're going to have an Achroma tournament. And also, it's not just going to be the UK you can get the cards. We're going to be launching in North America within the next couple of weeks. So we have actually got our stock going out on a ship right now somewhere, and it will be heading over to North America into the US, where we can then start selling our stock out there directly to customers. And so it's been a crazy year. It's been an exciting journey, and we've got an exciting year lined up of more releases, more plans, more ideas, and really we're starting a whole indie game rebellion across the whole of the gaming industry, the tabletop gaming industry, to try and challenge some of those big game players that are taking over and dominating from a corporate standpoint. So thank you all for coming. It's amazing to see so many faces. And I really hope you enjoy all of the different products that we're releasing and enjoy the panels we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jack Constantine, CEO of Realm Runner Studios. So, some very exciting early initial news with obviously the adventure game, RPG, and obviously the cards as well. So, next panel is going to be the co-creator of Achroma and the creative director of Realm Runner Studios, Rachel Constantine, and the communications manager, Ben Sewell. Big round of applause, please.
Good evening, everyone. Let's just do a sound check first of all to make sure that we're good over here and you're good over there. Great. So good to see the place so packed out. This is amazing being our first showcase. And hi to everyone tuning in globally on our YouTube live stream as well. So some exciting stuff, as you can hear from Jack there, with what's coming. I know that there's also lots in the pipeline as far as Web3 is concerned, blockchain, and possibly an animation series. So if you get a chance to have a chat with Jack before the end of the evening, then I strongly advise you do so. Lots of great stuff coming. So it's with great pleasure that I've got an opportunity to talk now with Realm Runner Studios creative director Rachel Constantine, which I'm sure that you guys have been following on different social platforms. You know that fundamentally she's right at the heart of what we do here. So I want to give you a big welcoming round of applause to Rachel, please. You see that love that they have for you already. Brilliant. Okay, I mean, let's start from the top then. You know, Achroma's going from strength to strength. You know, fans are now in the many thousands. You know, what we've been talking about there is we're beyond tabletop card games. We're beyond tabletop role-playing games. We're into merchandise. We're into music. We're into short stories. We've got our collector's editions that we know of and all the great stuff that Jack was just saying. You particularly must feel particularly incredible of the success of Achroma based on the world that you've created.
I'm quite a shy introvert, really, and being put on stage is uncomfortable for me because I think most writers like to be in dark rooms. But obviously I'm really proud that people enjoy the story and enjoy the characters and enjoy the world, because when you're writing these things, there's a good chance that you convince yourself that, oh my God, I'm the only person that can see this and feel this and love this. And since, you know, I do like go on the Discord and have a little look at what everyone's saying, and, you know, it seems like a few people like it with me, so, yeah.
I'm sure that there's a few more. And as Charlie was saying, if anybody on our YouTube stream does want to ask Rachel any questions after this little interview, then we can absolutely do that. And those that are here in the audience as well, of course, you'll have a chance to ask Rachel. This is the first time that we're doing something like this, so it's okay to not feel completely in our comfort zone, but that is what makes what we do here at Achroma so real and so authentic, I think. But I think you sort of diet down a little bit about the popularity of what we're doing so far with Achroma and certainly what's to come. So, okay, let's start right from the beginning. Where does it all start? Because even though Achroma formally launched in 2021, the story of this story began a long time ago, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really old, but I started writing this world when I was 19 years old, so that's 20 years ago. And yeah, I love the fantasy setting of Achroma, because I have this kind of feeling that there's no smoke without fire, and I feel like, well, if there was dinosaurs, there was definitely dragons, and, you know, I personally think the Loch Ness Monster is a water dragon, you know, so I was like, you know, that's all of those feelings around those creatures and around those times. You know, I was like, imagine if it was all real. Imagine if once we actually were allowed to be near dragons and, you know, witches and wizards did live amongst us, and imagine if they were all evacuated, and imagine if all of the borders got shut because of the fact that, you know, humans, you know, we're dangerous. We hurt the animals and everything that lives here anyway. Could you imagine if there were these mythic creatures that were so much stronger than us? We'd all be threatened. So, you know, I wanted to write from a very young age, and meeting Jack, you know, he's very, very visionary, and, you know, he was like, yeah, we should write this. Like, yeah, let's sit down. And we spent a lot of evenings, you know, being nerds writing it. So
Time well spent, definitely time well spent.
well, hopefully.
And I mean, what inspired you into that writing then? Because I think you've got quite a, if we go back right to when you were much younger, in not just creativity, but I think that there was a journalism course in there first of all. What first attracted you to starting to think about building worlds to get us to the point of today?
I always knew I wanted to be a writer, and when I was 9, I was asked by a teacher in middle school, and I was like, I struggled with like the technicalities of writing, you know, like spelling and grammar, and I was terrible at that. And they put me in this like special needs class, and they dragged me out of the class in the middle. And then one day he said to me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, I want to be a writer. I want to write amazing stories. And he said, "You know, you're a really sweet girl, but you're just not clever enough for that. So you need to get a new dream." And I thought, no, I want that dream. I want to write worlds. I want to do that. I want to, you know, I'm obsessed with film. I'm obsessed with animation, and I just love stories. You know, like I love the drama and the exaggeration of everything. So I just kept slogging away until, you know, I had the best hype man ever. You know, Jack was like, "You can do this, you can do this." And, you know, even on my social media, I get spelling wrong all the time, and it makes me want to die. But, you know, I think the content is good. So
The imagination is good as well. And for those that didn't know, you know, Rach did write those at the beginning of her life as she's expanding into creative writing. Some of these limitations were because of your dyslexia, wasn't it? I mean, these are the kind of conversations that you had. And I would say that I'm sure that everyone agrees here and that's tuning in online on YouTube as well, that being told you can't do something,
it's definitely a good driver.
because you're different, because you're interesting, because you're creative, because you're important, is no doubt the most motivating way to being brilliant at that particular thing. And I'm sure everyone here can sort of take some inspiration for where you've got here today, even with some of those challenges and being told that you can't do it, which is, you know, testament, I think, to...
I'm not going to lie, some days I feel like I can't do it. And but when you love something, you seem to still find yourself doing it anyway. So.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, but you're sharing so much enjoyment with your world building Achroma. So I think that let's dive a little bit deeper, because there are a couple of real key elements, aren't there, with Achroma that makes it different to other fantasy games and franchises out there, aren't they? So I think, first of all, tell us about this player-influenced gameplay and the Achrometer, for those that don't know.
Well, the Achrometer is basically if you're playing Achroma, which is obviously my team, or if you're playing... Achroma is my team, Achroma is Jack's team, and I lost, which I was very upset about recently, but it basically tallies where the game's going and then how the narrative is going to unfold based on which side is winning. And, you know, I think it's quite generous and collaborative of us, you know, because I'd like to write it that I win, not that Jack wins. But
so that's where it started.
That's what the community wanted.
Home.
Yeah. Jack was like, "It'd be great. The narrative can, you know," and I was like, "Yeah, but that's my bit. I don't want to share it." But actually, it's been one of the funnest things because, you know, when it came to the end of chapter 1, I was like, "Oh my God, it looks like we're winning," and then we didn't. So
I think what might be quite nice for those that are tuning in or that aren't so familiar with our Achromaverse as we stand at the moment is, let's go right back to basics. You know, we let's tell everybody what is Achroma, what are the 5 realms, and the chronicles that we're up to at the moment before we start our new release next week.
The idea is that everything that is magical is created by this magical, colourful substance called chroma. And where there's something magical and wonderful, there's always something dark to drag it down. And achrom is the counteracting component to that. And in the 5 realms, the realms start to struggle because this achrom is starting to pollute their world, and people are starting to abuse it because there is a chromatic shortage. So not everyone can be magical, not every creature can be magical. And it basically heightens what you're already born with. But achrom, if you abuse achrom, you can, you know, gain strengths and magic that you're not entitled to. But there are consequences, like everything dark. And it's powerful, and it's, you know, it's causing a lot of problems, you know.
It's interesting because there's definitely some kind of anchor point, isn't there, from a meaning perspective and some of the storytelling that you unfold. But let's go back just a second in terms of the sort of not knowing the outcome of the Achroma effect. That must be quite a challenge from writer's point of view, isn't it? As you're sort of stepping towards that and excitement and it's about to come to a close.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that everyone would be on my team. I thought, who wants that stereotypical, the good guys winning, like they always do? But apparently that's exactly what everyone wants.
I'm not sure if anyone has any opinions of that you'd like to share in just a minute when we do our Q&A. But, okay, so how do you go about writing this next chapter with so little time? I mean, I know we're in a bit of a production run at the moment, but if we think about it, you don't have much time to get the cards out to all the fans that are here today, chomping at the bit to know what's going to happen next. How does that work? Because you know the fundamentals, you know the rules, you know the structure. I assume then that you sort of lean back into the lore and the mythology?
Well, Curdle is definitely my baby. So the fact that that was the first release and now we're back about to release Cove, it is very collaborative. Our team is really collaborative. And Dan and I spoke about how great would it be if it was in the setting of ships and sea witches and all that kind of thing. And I grew up down in Lulworth and I was like, I would love to do something about mermaids and all that kind of stuff. And we all went out and we did like a bit of a kind of a recce of things that would inspire us. And Jack had another great idea that we could do for Curdle and the next way to go. But on that I won, so we did Cove. But we decide as a team, we do it as a team. I may write the lore, but the lore has to fit the mechanics, and Chris and Jack do the mechanics with our junior staff, and everybody has a say, and some of the characters, in Cove we've got Dark Rainbow, which is developed by a young enthusiast, Jasper. So, we're really open to ideas from, fans and other people that want to incorporate their take on our world. So
that's amazing. And for anyone that's here today and those tuning in on our YouTube feed, then please be aware of that as you're following us on socials as well. For those that don't know, Dan's our brand manager. He's here today, and also Chris, one of the co-founders. He's our ops manager. And as an indie game publisher and multimedia publisher, that right at the heart of what we do is very sort of family-centric, isn't it? One of the other things that I think we should talk about now, this other significance in terms of the different gameplay, is how morality is really baked in to what you're sort of doing. And I'm assuming that stems from contemporary culture and the meaning behind it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the family that Jack and I live in, they want good things for this world. And Achroma is, it's mimicking that as well. When we do bad things in the world, dark things happen, and there's dark things happening all the time. And, the way that things unfold that way, even down to the way our cards are made and developed, and the materials we use, and we're thinking about the planet. We're thinking about how we want things to look and feel, and we want it to be the best experience with the best materials that aren't going to cost the world, and we're always thinking about the better things.
Yeah, because they're printed locally, aren't they, and also on sustainable paper, and that makes quite pretty different to some of what our other big players involved. Okay, so what do you think, though, if we go back to the morality element, particularly the decisions that you're making? The mobile adventure game stands very strong in my mind.
Yeah.
For those that once we're up and running with that, hopefully in the next few days, you will see how morality plays a real key part with the decision making. What inspired you to have that within the world itself?
That was Jack. That was Jack's vision, and we were all really happy to go along with it because it makes the game really unique. And I struggled with those choose your own adventure books, because I'd always get to a dead end and want to cheat and go back, and that's not very moral, is it? But I feel like to offer a new generation games like that you're still getting a bit of the kind of retro experience that makes you feel good when you get to the end because of the fact that you've made the right choice, or you feel terribly smug because you've done all the wrong choices and you get to the bad place, whatever it is, I think it's nice for, everyone to experience that.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting, isn't it? Because Achroma itself, even at this stage of our life, it's kind of limitless in its scale in terms of the world building. We have this interconnectedness of Chronicles. We have the realms, the characters, the creatures. We're talking a lot about digital game experience, where we've got the tabletop and we've also got the app as well. It's very interactive.
Yeah.
What Chronicle then would you say is closest to your heart?
Well, obviously, I'm the first occultist. Like, I am definitely, a wannabe witch from the 90s. But now, because Dexter, my son, the Master of Dragons, lives in Draco, I would say that is closest to my heart because, I get to write about him.
Love that. Okay, then take us through the journey that took you to build this fantastical world of Draco.
Well, like I said, I like the idea that it could be true, that we don't know that we didn't share this world with these creatures and with these characters, back in the years before we ever lived. And, I did a journalism course, like you said, and I wanted to write something that meant something and change something in people. And when I was in my second year of university, I realised I wasn't ruthless enough to be a journalist. I didn't want the story bad enough to hurt anybody. I want kids and people to read the things I write and feel like, that kind of excitement, because there's not many things that make me feel that way, and when you feel it, you're like, oh my God, I want that to be something that I don't, Jack said to me, because I dabbled in trying to get the books published when they first, because I wrote the Realms as 5 books originally. And when I dabbled in the publishing world, it absolutely crushed me. And I was 19, and I was like, I never want to look at Sparata again. I never want to go there. It hurts me. Even now, I never play the decks. I don't look at the decks. I don't feel good about the decks. And yet, they are core to the whole story. So you can't just ditch them either. If I could kill off Sparata, I would, but I can't.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of unhappy fans here and online if to hear you say that.
Yeah, so it's you just kind of think, well, if people love it, then that's why, you get to share something, don't you?
Yeah, it's you're the real deal with storytelling with this stuff, Rach. There's no doubt about it at all. Let's talk about characters. Is there a process when it comes to you thinking, right, I want to create this character or this creature? Is that something that you do all the time? Did you make this up?
Character development comes quite easy to me. When I was younger, I was definitely being inspired by the qualities in those closest to me. So I used to write characters where it would be an exaggerated version of the things I loved or that I noticed about people that were in my life. And, Sparata is filled with people that are precious to me. As I did studies and I learned how to write and I kind of fine-tuned my development skills as a writer, I started to do less of that because it's not encouraged. But I think a lot of the characters are parts of me, or things I'd like to be, or things I want to be, or things that I see in people that I think they're capable of. So I definitely work off names. Names come quite easily to me, and then I build around that name, and I build what I think they'll look like, and then obviously Matt Vince, he has been amazing. He'll read one of my descriptions, and then it's like he sees into my mind, and he draws the characters and the creatures as I saw them, and then they're alive.
This is the illustrator, isn't it?
Yeah.
He should be here this evening, Matt. Great, he is here. For those of you are here in the store, he'll be available to sign some artwork and some cards for you. Great collaboration that you have.
Does he know?
I think he does now. And if we think about the interactions then across the different realms between the creatures and the characters, and they're quite complex in the same. But how do you maintain that sense of continuity? Should I say? Forgive me.
Sheer intellect, I think. I don't know. We just keep going with it, and you kind of try. Dan is really good at locking me down on like making sure that it all, you know, when he joined the company, he was like, right, let's start a source book. Let's make sure that we know exactly where this character started and what we've said. And so really, like, Dan's a bit of a voice of reason, because he'd be like, no, you said this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. You know, so it's like that, you know. So it's, now we have an encyclopedia of where we've been.
Got it.
Which helps guide us where we're going. Oh, sorry.
That's great. And again, back to an indie developer, right? This is all happening here. Dan's right over here, and you're hearing what's going to kind of come next. I think that's the beauty of what we're doing at Run Runner. Just a couple of other bits on your writing and development then. For many writers, you know, environment's quite important, isn't it? You have a busy life, you have a big family. Is there a space or a place that you feel you're most creative, you're most magical?
Well, I have a black room in my house. And I love it in there. It's filled with skulls and witchy things and big collection of books and my computer, and I like to sit in there with the fire on. That would be my favourite place to write if it was idyllic and I didn't have 7 children running around the place. But quite often I find that I write in bed on my laptop, hiding from them.
And they're not allowed in this room, I presume?
Pardon, sorry?
They're not allowed in this room?
No, well, they used to not be allowed, but there's no place in my house that they're not allowed now. So, no. So I kind of write wherever I am. I love writing on the train. I'll write anywhere, really.
That's amazing to hear. So, you know, immersive storytelling is really at the heart of what you do, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you go about ensuring Achroma is fun and joyful, as well as being dark and light for everybody?
Well, the joyful's kind of, like, the light side of it's kind of forced upon me, really, because I would like it all to go, you know, dark. But because it's a family-friendly game, and, you know, things like the Hex Clunker and the Mage's Elite, like, they appeal to all audiences of all ages. And I just think, well, you know, when I get the opportunity, like in the adventure game, I've recently described the internal kind of layout of the Hex Clunker, because it's like something that a lot of the fans love. And I'm like, oh, it's got a little stove in there, it's got some nice rugs, you know, it's like you just get to add small joys everywhere, you know. And I love that, you know, the fact that I'm like, I feel like if it existed, that would be what it would be like, you know.
You're using the word love a lot, and I think that really comes across with the sincerity of your storytelling right across everything in Achroma. So coming back to tonight then, both fans and newcomers to Curse of Curdo Hill will be able to explore our new mobile adventure game that Jack was saying, and should be available in the next couple of days on both Google and Apple's app stores. And I'm sure fans of this chronicle would love this latest sort of choose your own adventurers that we were talking about earlier on. Who's your favourite character in the mobile game?
In the mobile game, wow.
Is there a part in there that you particularly think that when people start to download it and play it, they're going to really love?
I mean, for me, I just love the bits that Feral Child have done, because I love their work. I loved working, you know, I would be so excited for every email that came through about their animations. It's like an absolute dream seeing someone animate characters that, you know, it was just amazing. And so for me, I just think that people will just be blown away by their contribution to what they've done with Matt's artwork. And, you know, it just looks great.
Yeah, it does. And you really kind of feel it all around you when you're sort of diving into it.
It's just so exciting.
Yeah, and the great thing about the mobile adventure games, it takes about 50 minutes to complete, doesn't it? But you can keep going back.
Yeah,
but it still stores your score on the Achroma at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, you could play it so many different ways and still get to a different location. It's like, you know, you've got to have some perseverance to get it all. You know?
And to unveil all the secrets of that space. Which I'm sure you're the only one that kind of knows all about that as well. And I know that we also have here the forthcoming Curse of Curdo Hill RPG that will be set up soon. I can feel a bit of tension in the audience, really looking forward to getting their hands on that. As you know, in a second, Rachel and Jack will be taking some questions. So again, everyone on live stream, if you've got any further questions for Rach, please send them over to Charlie. He'll pick them up in a second. But first, what I wanted to talk to you about is we've got the first hands-on prototype play of our new chronicle, A Conjuring at Curdle Cove, which is very exciting. It's another world first for here at our Realm Runner showcase. So, Rach, tell us about the story. What are we expecting? What can all the fans dive into with this new chronicle?
I mean, everything about Curdle Cove is beautiful. You know, the artwork, you know, not to take from the other artwork because it's phenomenal, but I think this is the best that I've ever seen. I just love it.
Well,
Everything about it.
That's really saying something. So with Matt being here signing some things in a second, make sure you sort of tie that down. Can you give us a sneak peek into any of the factions or any of the characters that are set to come?
So my favourite faction is obviously the new Coven, which will be the Moonvale Bay Coven. So, and you know, I'm really fond of the darker characters, as we know, but there's two light characters that are twins that can control the elements, and I just feel like they are going to have such a, you know, narrative changing role within Cove. And you know, part of me thinks I hope the good guys win this time, because it would be great to write their ending, because it's going to be phenomenal.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Exciting times. Okay, so just a couple of final things for me then. So I think everyone in this room will no doubt will agree with me that you're a very determined woman, Rachel. You know, creative, resilient. What advice would you give to people, particularly those with dyslexia, who love to write, but are worried that they won't be able to do what they love?
I mean, I hate to say that it makes my confidence waver, because, you know, it's horrible to be shown up for not being able to spell, or you've not got the grammar right, because you want it to be right. Every post you put out, everything you put out, you want it to be right, you just haven't noticed. But luckily, you know, it's what editors are for, so I don't think they should be deterred. Whoever it is should just go for it, because everyone's willing to help. Do you know what I mean? I've got so many lovely people that offer to proofread and go through my work. It's like a team effort. It's great.
And I'm sure that in amongst those limitations, actually the outcome that you get to is even more amazing than if it was more of a kind of easier ride, because you have to work so much harder to it. And just one final point, as a woman in this industry, give us 3 words to keep front of mind when leading the indie games rebellion.
Be a powerhouse. You know, women can do just as much as men, and there's fewer of us, but you know, you've got such a lot to give. So I think that we're giving creatures, and we get a lot done.
Love that. So. On that profound note, ladies and gentlemen, creative director of Achroma.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Rachel, and thank you, Ben. That was awesome, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to everyone that's been enjoying the live stream as well so far. I've had so many questions come up from that, and I'm sure you guys are thinking of loads as well, because we just got... I always love it when Rachel gets on camera and talks about the lore, because we just get such a great deep dive into everything that goes behind it. So up next then, folks, is the Q&A section. So as a reminder, how this is going to work, in a moment I'm going to introduce Jack and Rach back onto the stage. I have an array of questions from our Discord server, which, by the way, the link is down below if you want to join our community, as well as some questions you guys have asked in the live stream. And I am going to be offering up the microphone. Don't worry, you don't have to get up on stage. We'll bring it to you. I've got a nice long cable for those that want to ask questions in the audience as well. So going to get another round of applause for Jack and Rachel Constantine, please. Where's my stand? I'm going to take a bit of a stand here. Hopefully I'm out of the way of the main camera, but I don't mind if I'm not on camera for this bit. So welcome back, Jack. Welcome back, Rach.
Thank you.
So let's start with a couple of the questions that I had in Discord earlier. And then what we'll do is we'll then kind of do one from live stream, one from in-store, until roughly for the next sort of 10, 15 minutes or so. I apologise to the live stream folks if I don't go through every question. My apologies. If there is any questions that are missed, I'll make sure to get them answered and on our socials at some point. So, firstly then, so from Lewis in the Discord, although he is here tonight. So this is a question to either
Front
of
row
you.
seat.
Yeah. So what is your vision for the future of Achroma? Do you want to see it become a big international hit with kind of like massive tournaments, or more of a casual experience, or are you trying to hit both markets like Pokemon? But short question is, what's the future for Achroma?
Are you going to go? Am I doing this?
I mean, I want everything, whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the case. I think for us, Achroma is, as you heard Rach say, it's a passion and a universe that we've been nurturing for 20 years. So we started with the evolving card game, and that is definitely going to be a core product for the long term. We definitely want to see that expand out and branch out across multimedia. So yes, if we, based on the animated trailer we got made, looking at getting shorts done, looking at pushing that into streaming services, looking at how we can kind of introduce Achroma to viewers and players all over the world, no matter what they might prefer. Which you could lean on, like, well, that's a bit like Pokemon, right? It's got like, TV shows and games, video games and cards. So I'd probably say there's that element versus, say, going down the hardcore like card game only route and it being very much about like hyper competitive play. But I wouldn't dismiss competitive play for the game. It's been incredible to watch the journey of how well received the game has been. If it wasn't for the community who obviously are kind of really kind of smashing the mechanics and playing all the different strategies and enjoying it, we wouldn't be where we are today. So they are definitely a key part of how we grow. And if that competitive scene grows with us, we will support it all the way.
That's basically a long version of what I said.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. I said, yeah, I knew she was going to say that.
Lovely, thank you. Now, we did have a question from David H in Discord as well, kind of on the same sort of note around the competitive scene, a relatively close question, but so is there any plans for a competitive scene outside of the occasional tournament in the store? So for those who don't know, every Achroma season, we run an Achroma tournament here in the store, the next grand tournament. I can't read the poster from here, but do you know the date off the top of your head, Jack?
I don't know the date off the top of my head. It'll be soon.
24th of May, thank you.
There we go.
I can't read the back, but, so yeah, we do have the occasional tournament here, but David H wants to know, is there any plans for a competitive scene where we might make some form of like tournament document or policy to give to selective stores to run tournaments around the country?
Yes, we've got organised play coming, so we will have support for shops worldwide to be able to launch kind of and synchronize the grand tournaments. And obviously the great thing about that app and the connected nature of having that companion app is that we can get everything aligned to have kind of a hosted event online that matches up. So yes, we will definitely be supporting more organized play and providing the tools for that.
Fantastic, thank you. So we're now going to move to the questions that have come in live from stream today, and what we'll do is we'll alternate between these and questions in store for those that have some. So let's start with one in store. So hands up if anyone has a question. I've seen a hand go straight up straight away, but I'll come back to you, Joe, later. So I'm going to bring the mic down. Okay, on to talking in front of the speaker. Let's see if we can do this without accidentally assaulting anybody.
Hi. Thank you for making such a great game, but my question is probably more for Rachel, but feel free. It's basically, what was your, I know you touched on it earlier, it's more about what's your key inspiration. What would you say was the one book, film that you saw that really just triggered your mind and started everything racing?
Well, this is really going to show my age, but I absolutely loved The Storyteller as a kid, if everyone knows that one, with the old man that used to scare us all.
Yeah, the TV show.
Yeah, so that, I remember like watching that and thinking, oh my God, like who thinks up of, for example, the guy that took his coat of porcupines off and she threw it into the fire. I was like, my mind is blown. Like, who thought of that, you know? So I would say that those are the kinds of things, and the borrowers and all of those really amazing things. Like, I would say they were my first things that I found inspiring, because, you know, Sunday night, 6 o'clock, every time with the family, that was a big deal back then when we couldn't just stream what we wanted whenever we wanted.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Fantastic question. So I'm going to stay standing over the side. So those on the live stream, you've probably lost me at this point, but you can hear me, and that's all that matters. So a question from Kaz in the live stream. Now, this is actually a two-part. I've got one question for Jack, one question for Rach. So the question for Jack, as announced earlier, the TTRPG is going to be available to those in the backed it in the Kickstarter in the next 24 hours. However, do we know roughly when they might be able to get their hands on the RPG to the general public for those that weren't able to back the Kickstarter?
So yeah, with the RPG, it's a product that we're in rapid development of. The sooner we get the alpha out, then we'll be able to start working on the next version, which we do want to have like a beta before we go fully out there with our finished product. So we are definitely going to get it out by September at the latest. So that's when people can expect it. Maybe sooner if we can really hammer through some play testing and sort ourselves out. But we want to make sure we got a really well polished and high quality product, and that's one of our kind of Realm Runner stamps. So we don't want to rush it.
Absolutely lovely, thank you. And for Rach, Kaz asks you, might be a bit of a hard question to answer, but do you have a favourite piece of lore
around Klaus and Delilah, because it's so, romantic and secret, and I like the fact they have a secret child, and that child's hidden in a different realm, and
people don't even know this yet.
I like all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, me and Rach actually recorded a video a few weeks ago, which hopefully should be going live very soon, which dives even deeper into those storylines as well.
Yeah, I've already given the secrets away.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Kaz. So let's go back to the live store now. I know Joe put his hand up earlier, so I'm going to go to Joe, but don't worry, there's going to be plenty more opportunities. Let's see if I can not trip anybody up. So, Joe has a question.
Hi. So there's a lot of references to mythology, as well as some things directly pulled from mythology. I guess this would be a question for both of you, but what's the kind of creative process of making those, for lack of a better word, canon in Achroma? And is there any interesting pieces of mythology that you've pulled that are on the cutting room floor for now?
I think, as Rach mentioned earlier, the whole thing around the storyteller kind of hints at where the inspiration of, if you look at what they were about when he'd be doing those stories, and they were fables, and they were kind of retellings of stories that we've had over the years. And there's always, I think, with fantasy and with creativity, you lean on inspirations, and we definitely we got very wrapped up in the whole idea, predominantly around the Dark Ages, of like, right, what actually happened in the Dark Ages? What goes on? Like, there used to be this whole thing of knights going out hunting dragons, like, so we kind of got very caught up in the like, well, what if there was this dark age that we kind of don't know about, that basically was kind of the splitting of the realms, and that the mythical creatures that we have in our mythology escaped because they were like, screw this, we don't want to hang around here any longer. And so we kind of, from that point, we kind of put a bit of a flag in the sand of saying we want to lean into the mythology and kind of play with it and have our own take on it, but be able to feel that it is this living, breathing universe we've created of Achroma is something that connects back into the very human, very earth kind of mythology and history that we have of even now, conspiracy theories, unanswered questions, well, what if, and all of those types of things. So that's definitely been, something that from 20 years ago we had.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like, I absolutely love the witching realm, and the Salem witch trials were like the perfect reason for, the High Coven to pull out and evacuate all of their witches and warlocks because they weren't safe here anymore. So who knows? That could happen.
Yeah, I think, you can imagine each of the realms, that we've launched. You've got like, well, it's perfectly believable that fairies don't hang out at fairy rings anymore because, it's all a bit human. And trolls have abandoned the bridges because, why hang around here?
Well, we actually believed that they were in wishing wells, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were like, they live at the bottom of wishing wells, so that's where Wishwell Factory came from.
Yeah. And then, dragons getting hunted by knights, they're getting sick of that, and wizards and witches getting burnt on the stakes, they're getting sick of that. And you could imagine, we just suddenly kind of went from there and took this journey, and then you kind of lean on different cultural references around, Norse mythology and how that might inflict, what that might kind of bring out in if you've got a kind of a Norse-inspired realm that's got fey creatures and beings that kind of were hinted at throughout Norse mythology, and it's an amazing thing for us because what you get is each realm is effectively a parallel universe of Earth, which gives us such an expanse to be able to explore. I mean, there are so many, God, imagine when we get to Egypt, or there's so many places you could go and explore that are like, wow, that's going to be an amazing place to kind of unravel and see what that looks like.
Going to tell you how the pyramids were built.
Yeah, exactly. We've got it. It's all in there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Joe, for that question. Thank you, Jack and Rich, for those answers. So, got a couple more in the stream, and we'll do a couple more in store, and then we've got so much to get through this evening. From Ria in the live stream, so the characters in Achroma so far have been very diverse in terms of builds, skin colours, genders, etc. Will we see diversity such as non-binary or disabilities such as wheelchair users or amputees?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Yeah, I think even in the sense of what we've got with characters that we've been building and creating, some of those we never really identified. In some cases, we maybe have relationships in mind, but
didn't give genre or like
gender, or
to them.
sexuality or what they're referencing. So I think we've already seen opportunities where we're like, oh yeah, well that is a good where does that lead and what is the question on that? And I think there's a whole kind of one of our motivations when we did the whole pixies and fairies thing is this whole discussion and thought around like, effectively pixies are disabled fairies, right? They've lost their wings, like that's, and then how does society treat these pixies when they no longer have, they can't fly around like everybody else, like everyone else flying around. These guys don't have their wings anymore. So like it's interesting when you start opening up those dichotomies and those interesting dialogues, but for sure we would love to cover more of that and kind of explore it, because I think it's an important part of our journey, and I think it's such a nice creative avenue to try and express how that can display itself.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So back to the store. Hands up if you have a question for Jack or Rachel. If not, we've got a couple more in live stream to go. I see Christian, but I'm gonna go to this gentleman at the back. I will make my way round, walk in front of the camera, try not to trip anyone up on the way.
I didn't know that you were dyslexic. My wife and ex-wife are dyslexic. My daughter is autistic. I'm bipolar. I'm a writer, and I'm also CEO of a robotics company. So everything that you wouldn't expect from a bipolar person. So you were talking about the diversity and inclusivity. Have you thought about talking about mental health and mental illness, using Achroma as a platform to show to people that people can live with mental illness and have a functional life like I do, like you do, like my daughter does? Going back to the pixies, they're obviously quite, they're quite tortured by the effects of what Achroma does to them. And I think a lot of the lore and the narrative that wraps around some of the loneliness and some of the heartbreak that our characters have, like that would definitely lead to mental health issues and things like that. And I think we've got the scope to write in about all of those hardships, because it's real life, isn't it? And I think coming out of COVID in particular, I think that everybody is more understanding of the effects of mental health and what it's done and how we're all kind of trying to build our lives on the other side of that. So
I think we always designed the universe to be something that felt very accessible, from a family and child and adult level, and have that kind of entry point where you can kind of cover topics in a way that feels very open and accessible for children to be able to understand as well as adults. And then equally, so I think that gives us like a lot. Obviously we have to kind of be aware of the approach we take, but at the same time, I think when you look at products like the TTRPG as well, where there's the opportunity to kind of build campaigns out and explore this universe and kind of start taking your own twist on things and figuring out what topics you might want to explore, we will definitely support and encourage as much as possible, and put as much identity as we can into these characters. One of the things that we focus on is, we have so much more of a wiki for each character and location and all of the different things we built in the card game that can really layer up the personalities and the traits and what might be making that character the way that they are. So we can definitely layer in different challenges and issues that they might have as an individual. And it's definitely all about, I think, one of the important things of gameplay is that capability for us as society and communities to be able to explore some of those topics in a way that means that we're able to unlock and unfold, some of those conversations. Might be harder to have, but when you suddenly play them out in a role play game, you're able to tackle some of those. So I think that's part of our goal is having a positive impact on society and understanding what we can do to encourage that, even down to the basics of, we chose to make a card game where people sat around the table and had a social interaction because we felt it was important that you're not just locked away in your room only looking at a screen. Love games, love video games, but I think it is important to have that dynamic where you do have a sitting across the table interaction and you have that opportunity to socialize around these things. So I think it's always been important to us and always will be that we have a positive impact on society in whatever way we can.
Lovely, thank you. Very good question, very good answers. So we'll do one more that is from the live stream, and just as a quick kind of signpost, anyone that obviously is in the store, there'll be plenty of opportunity to ask any of the questions you have, as there is going to be hours after this stream in the store. And for those that are in the live stream with us, there is going to be a post stream as a reminder. It will be with myself again. Whether you consider that good or bad, I'll leave that up to you. But if you have any other questions to the creators, I'll be going around and asking them directly as well. So I've got one more here from Alistair McLean in the live stream. So it was actually the Kickstarter that we did earlier this year that brought them into the Achroma universe themselves. And they just simply asked, is there any plans to use Kickstarter again in the future?
I think one of the things we've really felt that the Kickstarter campaign did for us was to give us a platform to be able to elevate our goals and ambitions as an indie game publisher, to be able to stretch ourselves and aim to achieve more for the community and for ourselves, in the sense of building out these products that we feel can be a great addition to the Achroma suite. And I think I would like to, it depends whether the team will hang me after this, but I think we should do it again next year. So that's the answer.
Very nice. Thank you, Robert. Can I get a big round of applause in the front store for Jack and Rachel? Thank you, guys. You may now go back to the green room if you want. Lovely stuff. Thank you very much, everybody. So, as we look to tie the stream part of the showcase to a close, I've got a few more things just to recap, and obviously the results of the competition as well. So, firstly, before we look to end, just as a reminder of some of the key points that have been mentioned in the stream that is exciting news. So, if you haven't already, make sure to download the Achroma Companion app. As stated earlier, the adventure game will be available to all as of Friday by downloading the Achroma app. As a reminder, those that did back the Kickstarter, it will be back the Kickstarter? Back the TTRPG on the Kickstarter, it will be available in the next 24 hours. And for those in store, if you wish to pre-order Curdle Cove, it will be available. I'll speak more about that in a moment. For those in the live stream, there will be the option to start pre-ordering Curdle Cove as of Friday. But let's get into the results of the competition then. So, as we said at the start of the live stream, we have 3 big prizes to give away. The first 2 are going to be a collector's edition box of Achroma. Now, if you're new and don't know what that means, it is a 2-box set of Achroma cards, which is enough to get you started in the game. But in the collector's edition, you also get loads of awesome stuff like a lore book, poster, pins, loads of really, really cool stuff. And then the top prize will be a single box of Curse of Curdle Hill First Edition Collection. Can I get an ooh across the crowd? Thank you very much, thank you. Because for those that don't know the significance of that, Curse of Curdle Hill First Edition has been sold out now for a couple of months, really. So when we found this box laying around, we thought, what better to do than to give it away at our showcase. So what I have done is I have entered everybody's names that have been in the stream today, as well as everybody that is in store, into a lovely online spinning wheel, and I'm ready to do the prizes. What would you prefer? Do you want to go top prize first, or the top prize last? What do we think? Last, I think so too. Okay, so I'm going to spin the wheel. So for a winner of a collector's edition box, it's going to... Oh, we should have got a drum roll, but oh well. It's going to be... Oh, perfect! It is Orteg A, who I believe is in the live stream. Now, I did mention that I do need people to be here, so I'm going to give Orteg a few moments to actually shout yay or something in the stream. Otherwise, I will have to re-roll. We'll see, but I'm pretty certain they're here. In the meantime, I will I'll re-roll the next one. But Orteg, I do need you to call up and be here. So who knows? No, here we go. We got a yay. We got a yay from Orteg. Congratulations, buddy. Orteg, I believe you're in the Discord, so if you give myself really a DM, we'll arrange getting it sent to you in the next few days. So let's see who is going to be getting the next collector's edition box. Thank you very much. It's going to be someone in this room, I'm pretty certain. Mark Logie. Mark, are you with us? Congratulations. Mark, you'll be able to obviously select the box whilst you're here and take it home today. Fantastic stuff. And then lastly, the big prize, the Curse of Curdwell. Yeah, thank you. Are we ready? Drum roll, please, again. The winner is... Congratulations to Joe Evans. Congratulations, buddy. Well done. You have won yourself a first edition box of Curse of Curdwell. Well done, well done. Well done to those winners there, and thank you very much to everybody that entered the competition. As always, we'll run more of these in the future as well. Now, just before we get finished then, so let me explain what is going to be happening next. So for those lucky in the store with me today, we have loads of interesting things for you guys to be getting on with. Now, I'll firstly come to the live stream and mention that as I'm about to announce all of these amazing things these guys are going to be doing in the store, the evening is not over for you guys as well. Following this live stream, roughly 10 minutes, I'll be going live again in the post stream where I'll be showing you guys everything that's happening here and letting you guys have as much interaction as possible with the store here. But for those in store, what you can expect. So over to the table to my left, this kind of purplish table. Once the stream has ended, there'll be naturally a moment where I'm sure people will want to, step outside and we might move a few chairs around. But the space to my left here is going to be a space to meet the creators. Now, as it is going to be a very busy evening, I imagine sometimes they'll be sat there, sometimes they'll be roaming. You can always catch them for a quick hello, but they will be sat there occasionally for questions and signings. Joining on the live stage here, albeit the cameras won't be on, will be the artists Matt, Vince, and Marco. So if you wish to get any of your cards or posters or anything else signed, then you can come up orderly queue for Marco and Matt. There will also be the Beat the Achroma Team Challenge. So for those that are in store today and have bought their decks of Achroma cards, if not, I'm sure we have some pallets that we can give out. They'll be sat at the brown table at the back once the big camera has been taken off it, obviously. So come along and try and beat some of our creators at Achroma. They have been building and taking some quite good decks, so it's going to be quite the challenge. And then also on that table, and we might have a little bit of it on the purple table as well, there is going to be the availability of all of the Conjuring of Curdle Cove cards. So you'll be able to get your hands on them to have a first look at the abilities, the artwork. Keep in mind they are prototypes. And also there are some preset decks ready to play around with as well. Now, as well, whilst we're in the store, obviously there is the lovely shop, but we also have food and refreshments for everybody that is free. So obviously take your time to go and get yourself a sandwich. For those that don't know, the toilets are straight down at the bottom on the left. And the rest of the team will obviously be around to chat as well. I'll be going around with the live stream. If anybody wants to say hello to the live stream, do a little quick interview, I'm sure that'd be fantastic. Otherwise, folks, I think that is everything for the Achroma Showcase. So, thank you very, very much for those that have joined us on the live stream. It has been a pleasure. Oh yes, absolutely. I knew there'd be something I forget. So as a reminder to those in store, there is also the opportunity to pre-order Conjuring of Curdle Cove at the desk there. For pre-ordering it today, there will be some extra benefits, so come and chat to our team if you'd like to pre-order Conjuring of Curdle Cove. Otherwise, folks... Oh, and Hen, I forgot Hen, wow. You can tell that it's been a long day for me. Probably the best bit, if I'm honest. And on top of that, over on the back left, it's the brightly lit table that I clearly missed. We also have Hen, who is going to be taking you guys through the Achroma TTRPG. So go over there and have a chat with Hen. He's got character sheets where he will show you guys how to make a character, and you can make a character with Hen. There's dice, so you can practice some dice rolls and really kind of get your heads dive deep into the Achroma TTRPG. I'm going to look again, just in case I missed anything else, because... Oh, thank you very much. You've done it for a long time. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, folks. For those in store, enjoy the next couple of hours. In case you didn't know, the store is going to be open until 10:30, so we've got a good couple of hours for all of these amazing activities. But thank you for everyone on the live stream. I'll see you on the post-live stream very soon. This has been the Realm Runner Studios and Achroma Showcase 2023, AchromaCon Part 1. Thank you. Good night.